Hey guys, I'm taking it away.
Where are we taking it?
On a beautiful balloon. A cha-cha-cha. I don't know how that song goes. Anyway, guys, hey, welcome to Comiholics. This is episode, I don't know what the number is because I forgot to look it up before I came over.
30.
Are you sure? Mm-hmm. Okay. Sure, why not? It's 30. Let's just assume it is.
Right.
And go from there. Today, it's a little bit different episode. It's back to just the two of us for this special episode.
We're all alone.
Segment 1 is our usual. We're going to be talking about some of the things that we're reading. But then segment 2 is all advanced reviews. Some of the stuff we're looking at is coming out this week, which like in a day or so, depending on how quickly I get this up. Some of this is actually coming out next week. So this is all stuff that's going to be coming out in the future.
So when will then be now?
Later.
How later?
I don't know. Well, it depends on when they watch this. If they watch this in like 2 months, then was back then, and so everything that was advanced is now past. But I don't know how we're going to do spoilers. I think some of the stuff we're not going to spoil, and some of the stuff we have to.
Yeah.
But like, we won't tell you what happens to Carl. You got to read it. But I'll tell you some of the other stuff that happens in Walking Dead 107.
So we're gonna cover the Governor Special, 107.
Alpha number 1.
Alpha number 1.
Nova number 1.
Morbius number 2.
Savage Wolverine number 2.
Yep.
Uncanny Skullkickers number 1.
Right.
Is that it? I think that's it.
I think so.
I think that's it. So that's the advanced stuff that we're going to have coming up. But first, before we even get into talking about the stuff that we're currently reading, there's something else that I even have to...
he likes to surprise me.
I do. I have to... Because the day that we're filming
if there's a donkey come down here, I'm out.
Hey, Kelly can be a boy's name, too. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. Today is Sunday, is when we're recording this, and The Walking Dead Season 3 premiere just ended. I haven't seen it yet.
I have.
Because I don't have AMC, so I just have to watch it online later. But you saw it without giving anything away. Good, bad, you like it? Was it kind of disappointing?
No, it was good.
Set up too much and didn't resolve
There was
enough?
a lot of build-up at the end of the last season, so you knew there was going to be a confrontation with Daryl and Merle.
Merle, yeah.
So obviously that's kind of the part of the start of it. I don't want to give away too much. Definitely a lot of build and a dynamic shift. Rick goes nuts a little bit more. We'll just put it that way.
Well, here's one thing I want to get your take on. I was having this conversation with intern Rick at the store the other day, and that is that Negan, the current bad guy in the comics, seems a lot like the way the Governor is portrayed in the TV show.
Negan's way more badass.
But it's like
more.
But it's like the Governor in the show is doing the stuff that the Governor in the comic did, but the way he looks, the way he acts, the way he's portrayed feels like how Negan is now in the comics.
Yeah, and actually the Governor, because the Governor is not really the Governor like he is in the comic, The Governor I picture like this, kind of like rode hard, probably was a truck driver before everything.
I was thinking like a motorcycle guy,
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know. And obviously, in the comic, the Governor rapes Michonne, which doesn't happen in the show.
Right.
So, obviously.
Well, and also in the comic, the Governor is responsible for Lori's death.
But I do want to give away one spoiler. I mean, Tyrese is on the scene.
Well, yeah, but we knew he was coming.
Yeah.
So all right. But on that, I have for you. Ooh. This.
This is a poster.
Kind of.
Oh, is this like one of the store promo? Oh my goodness!
It's a window cling.
This is
it's the season 3. You can't see it on that side, and you can barely see it on that side. It's one of those things that you stick on the window, and it's got the whole poster for season 3, where it's got the 2 faces: the Governor with the eye patch, and then Rick.
Whoa.
And it's super tall. And as an extra bonus, it's not a giant ad for Comic Book Men at the bottom.
No, it's an ad for Freak Show.
So.
Well, thank you, sir. I hope I have a window big enough in the house to put this up.
I don't know if that'll fit on your door even, because you've got the other. You got the season 2 window cling. You might just have to buy a piece of glass and just stick it
up there.
and put it in frame. And
Yeah. Well, like a piece of plexiglass.
yeah. Intern Rick actually wanted it because he took one of those clings and he's got a desk with a glass top.
Oh,
And he put his on the bottom, so
That's
he wanted
smart.
that one. And I was like, "Gee, I don't know what happened to it, Rick. It's just gone."
He's gonna come over and be like, "Oh, oh, oh," and I'll be like, "I
When
don't
is
know."
he? When is he ever coming over?
Yeah, he's only been over once, and we were really tired. That
Yeah,
show.
he was
And
like,
it was a bunk show too.
well,
like,
no, he came over for like your Halloween party, but he came late in the night when everybody was
Right.
like strung out and just kind of like.
This is Comiholics, right?
Right. Oh yes,
drink
there
alcohol.
is also a drink here. That's for you. Careful with it, because it is loaded to the brim.
What could it be?
This is a mystery drink. He doesn't know what it is. It's just ice with some sort of concoction in there. I want you to take a drink. And,
Wait a minute.
What?
Shouldn't we like toast and make sure that like a little bit of my drink splashes in yours and the other way? No.
Yeah.
What is this?
Well, what do you think it is?
Vodka?
Wrong continent.
There's definitely like lime. It tastes lime.
Yep.
Is there a soda involved in this?
Nope.
No. Okay. A wrong continent.
Wrong continent.
Rum?
No.
I don't know. Just tell me. Tell me what I'm drinking.
You're drinking a $7 bottle of Grain Legacy Margarita.
Right,
This is ready to drink, made with gold tequila, triple sec, and certified colors. I don't know what a certified color is, as opposed to an uncertified color.
It's,
But
so,
for being a $7, like, look at this jug. For $7, and it's got the tequila in it.
you know us, folks. It's only nothing but top-notch liquor. Well, all right. I'll go with it. Dirt seems to enjoy it just
Time for
fine.
more. All right, so
It's like working with Bender.
go ahead. You go first. Tell me about some of the stuff you're reading.
How about Batman issue 15? Scott Snyder.
That's been a while since I've read that.
Greg Capullo.
Yeah, the funny thing is, Death of the Family, the final issues have not come out yet, and yet the new issue of Detective that came out last week is set after Death of the Family.
Well, in Batman, the stage is already set. Joker's pretty
Oh,
much
we talked about that one already.
Did we?
Yep, sure did.
Oh,
We talked about them being on the bridge.
okay.
Yep.
I apologize, folks.
Uh-huh. Wow, way to kick it off.
How about Swamp Thing in Gotham City?
What about it?
What about it?
What about it?
Well, basically, this is where Rot World is taken over the Green, and Swamp Thing is, what's his girlfriend that he's after? I can't remember, anyways. So, so he's chasing after her, and also trying to find a way to destroy the Rot. And it just so happens that he's in Gotham City in this one.
Does Batman appear, or is he just in Gotham?
He goes to confront Batman. He finds the Batcave, goes to confront Batman, and
Does Batman say, "I'm Batman"?
no, he ends up running into this guy,
Oh, Man Bat.
Man Bat. Yeah.
Mmm.
So, and then it looks like at the end he runs into Barbara Gordon.
Mm.
So, basically, I think
there's been another one since that.
Rot World is, I think, coming to a close. I'm kind of
Yeah,
happy to see it go.
It's wrapping up.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of a neat story. I like it. The crossovers were kind of cool, but yeah, I don't know. I'm ready for it to get back to just some run-of-the-mill Swamp Thing type stuff.
That's a regular Swamp Thing.
Savage Hawkman meets Deathstroke.
Yeah. Now I have not. They did this big storyline with Hawkman Wanted, and it crosses over into Green Arrow and I think, does it cross into Deathstroke?
I don't know. I don't
anyway,
read Deathstroke. But.
And I read right up to where that storyline starts, but then I haven't read any of it yet, any of the actual Hawkman storyline. But did you hear they canceled Hawkman?
Oh, they are gonna.
Yeah, with like issue 19, I think is going to be
Savage.
the final issue.
So they're gonna.
Savage Hawkman's canceled.
Okay.
They canceled Savage Hawkman, Deathstroke, Team 7, and I Vampire. And
Well,
Superman
And
Family
actually, I had
Adventures.
told you that I was probably gonna stop collecting it anyways, and then you said, I don't know. I was just kind of getting tired of.
Well, apparently. Well, but Liefeld's gone, so.
Yeah. Talon.
What do you think of Talon?
I want to like it more than I do.
I just don't feel like there's enough there to keep it going. Like, it
No.
feels like it should be...
It was great because they created a new character out of, Night of the Owls. He's a Talon that basically broke free from the court, and it's not really going anywhere. I don't feel,
Like,
I know it's only the 3rd issue, so
I feel like it should be like a 5 or 6 issue miniseries.
And then, yeah.
Because it starts out and he's on the run from him, and it's like, well, how long can this really go on?
And again, it's Scott Snyder again.
No.
So he's all over the place on DC.
Action.
This was bizarre.
I like Action. Like, it's gotten really weird, and
I
I've
like the bizarre.
I've liked the stuff. Well, but it has to do with
the thing is, I'm completely
Mixit-Pitalik.
Yes.
And so that's kind of why it's getting crazy.
It's completely off the wall to the point where I don't know what's going on, really. Do you know what's going on?
More or less, yeah.
So this Mixit-Pitalik basically has come back to get Superman, and he's got him caught in this web of, like, trans-dimensional nonsense, right?
Well, he's basically warping reality. He's got
But
this
it's
ability.
a story about Mixit-Pitalik, too.
Right.
And kind of like how he became to be, and basically he was kind of like a court jester for a king, and then
I think he got framed.
Yeah, he got framed by his buddy, and I don't know.
It's taken a really bizarre turn, but I enjoy it. Grant Morrison's only doing like 2 or 3 more issues.
Oh, really?
He's done. Yeah.
I really enjoy Grant Morrison stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, how about the Activity issue?
Yeah, I haven't. Oh, that's number 10. There's a new one since then.
Okay, what'd you read 10?
Well, when it came out like 4 months ago, Mr. Reading Old Comics.
Old comics. It's not 4 months, but it's like a month ago.
Yeah, well, whatever.
They've been putting out a lot more issues. How often is this going out now?
It's supposed to be a monthly.
Okay.
And they've been trying to get it back on schedule.
This is the one where the guy goes in like the whorehouse, and he's actually after the other guy, and
oh yeah, where the one guy's after the other guy.
Well, and he kills him, and then like the little girl's like, take me with you, rescue us,
Oh, and they can't because
right.
outside their mission
This I thought this issue was interesting because it kind of set the moral tone.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a little more of a character driven story.
Well, it kind of gave you a picture of, I guess, how Nathan Edmondson interprets that moral code, where they're there to do a mission. Yes, I'm sure the guy maybe thought twice about rescuing the poor underage little girls from the.
But that's not what he's there for.
No, he was there to do a job, and he did it, and he's out of there. And then at the end, they're kind of all reflecting on, what just happened and what's going to happen, and I don't know. It's just kind of like, I'm sure that soldiers. And that's why I love about the Activity is it's a complete grid of everything that's going on. Everything from the Navy SEALs that are going in for a combat mission to
CIA,
special ops teams and everything. And I spoke to Mitch. I hope I'm saying this right. Gerrards. At C2E2 last year, and he was telling me how the soldiers have written in letters and contributed to ideas on how they
and they solicit that in the back of the book. They say let us know what you think.
And it has this it has a real feel to it. I mean, I don't know, I've never served in the military, but it sure feels real. So I enjoyed that one. Got a lot of digital comics here too. You want to take it away from me?
No, we'll sit here and wait for you.
All right, thanks.
Yeah. Oh, file not found.
Oh,
you erased your dirty book.
There's no dirty books on here. Maybe this is for work too. So. How about the Batman and Robin annual?
I have not read it.
Okay, well this one,
I know it's Damian.
Damian tricks Batman into thinking that he's like on this like snipe hunt basically across Europe, when in reality Damien's kicking butt in Gotham, and it's basically for the sheer pleasure of doing it on his own. On his own is pretty much how it was portrayed to me. I don't know, I like the art; it was fun. The frame structure was really cool. And it has a message at the beginning, and at the end, it has pretty much the same message. Where the full bad guy learns once again that he can't stand up to the bat. So,
all right.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Must you eat while I talk?
No, well, he's there.
Okay.
No.
How about All New X-Men number 6? Did we talk about that last time?
I don't know. I'm not up to date on the X-Men.
Oh, okay. Well, the
What do you like about All New X-Men?
I like the twist of having the original X-Men, the young X-Men.
But how long can they keep it up?
Well, obviously,
how much story is there they can do before the young guys have been there too long that they have to go back?
Well, Jean Grey is kind of the X factor and all that. 'Cause she's the one that's dead in the future.
Okay.
So, I'm wondering if almost they're going to keep Jean. Like, she'll stay. Like, maybe that's what keeps Cyclops from going over the edge. Maybe she's his...
So do you think they're going to change the past of the Marvel Universe? Because if they drop the whole Phoenix thing from the history of the Marvel Universe, that's a big change. There's a lot of stuff that
and then maybe something crazy happens, and then they have to send her back. I don't know. I mean, just a thought. So, let's see here. I read a lot of Fear Agent, which we
I haven't read any of that.
Ton of Fear Agent. It's really distracting when you're eating chips right in my ears. You see what I gotta work with you?
All right, so you're done?
No.
You done now?
You know what? Fine. I'm done.
All right.
What you got?
First up, let's talk about me taking another drink because I just ate a bunch of chips. It's good margarita. All right. First up, Star Trek: Countdown to Darkness. This is the setup for the prequel. Setup for the prequel sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Setup for the next movie in the Star Trek saga. And in this issue, the big twist is the final page of the book. You've got a lot of, stuff from the original series being redone, where I don't know if you remember in the original Star Trek series, there's an episode where they go to a planet and it's like the Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they're setting up that episode, except they decide they're not going to interact with the civilization at all, but there's some sort of weird electronic signal that they can pick up coming from the surface, so they want to see what's going on. And when they go, they run into an old captain of the USS Enterprise is there. And his name... Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. His name is Robert April. And the funny thing is, Robert April was one of the names that when Gene Roddenberry was working on the pilot of the TV show, was a name he used as a captain of the Enterprise. Never came up in the original series, but when they did the cartoon, they did an episode where Robert April, who was the captain before Captain Pike of the Enterprise, appeared. And in that episode of the cartoon, there's some sort of...
he's the original.
Yeah,
captain.
yeah.
The first.
Well, I mean, as far as we know. But in that episode, everybody's getting younger, and he's got the way to figure out how to make everybody grow old again so they can grow back up. And in the trailers for the movie, there's a shot of this little girl who's like kind of frozen in some sort of stasis, And the bad guy of the movie says that he knows how to cure this little girl, and he's got some sort of device. So now the speculation is Robert April appearing in this comic somehow tied to his appearance in the animated series, somehow tied to this little girl being some sort of grown-up that has aged back to a little girl and now is frozen, and he's got that device from the animated series that he's going to use in order to cure this girl from, getting younger and younger and younger.
Is this the same artist or team that's done the motion picture comic?
The comics based on the first movie. Yeah. David Messina he's one of those guys who's really well known for his ability to get likenesses. So when they do movie related stuff, he's one of those guys
really
they go
good.
to because he's uncanny at the ability to make people look.
And what's great is he doesn't have to use a lot of shading to get it across. Like he hits the key features of their faces, and that's really all you need. So,
but yeah, he did the other countdown book for the first movie, and also the I don't remember if he did the Nero one or I know he did the adaptation. I don't remember if he did the Nero book, but anyway, really, I mean, it's one of those things that really gets me excited for the movie. And, they say that the IDW comic series is canon. It counts as stuff leading up to the movie. So, the regular monthly series is good, but then this, being key stuff that directly links into what the movie is going to be, really, I can't wait for this movie. And, I want the rest of the series, right now. This is my big Trek nerd,
what's funny is Erica hates Star Trek, can't stand it. But she loved the last movie so much. She's like, I'll go to the second one with you, in the theater.
Here's the thing. If
hit me up with some more tequila there.
What we should do is we should set up a date. We should go down to St. Louis and watch it in IMAX.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Or even if we can, we should get tickets to the Omnimax at the Planetarium and watch it on the Omnimax screen.
Planetarium.
Have you ever been to an Omnimax movie?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's on the ceiling?
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. So, anyway, next up, Hellboy in Hell. This is Mike Mignola returning to Hellboy. He's doing the artwork.
What issue
and
is
the
that?
story. Number 3.
Okay, I've read the first 2.
This is so fantastic.
It's good.
Not only is the artwork amazing.
Can I see the third one?
Not only is the artwork so great, but he's also really tying the story back.
Everything.
So, in this one, you find out what happened right before he gets whisked into the first issue of Hellboy.
I've read this one.
You find out that he had brothers and his dad.
Yeah, he runs into his dad, doesn't he?
His dad's frozen. He's sealed up, and it's actually his uncle who's brought his brothers to try to attack him to steal that hand on him. Basically, his dad had this army, and he wanted his son to lead the army, so he put that giant hand on him, and somehow that hand will awaken this army and bring them. Open this gateway that can open gateways between hell and earth and heaven. And he can take this army and just basically take control of all facets of the universe.
Now, is Dave Stewart the same artist that's been with him?
He's the colorist.
He's
the colorist. I think he did the original Hellboy, the first series.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's done a lot of them lately. They brought him back to do this one because it's Mike Mignola doing the artwork.
Right.
Because Dave Stewart does have a very... if you look at what Dave Stewart does with the colors, there's not a lot of, where it's lighter at the top and darker at the bottom.
No, sharp.
It's a lot of, the same, almost the exact same color all the way through the background.
He just uses different colors of shade instead of actually
so that
shading the colors.
When Mike Mignola draws these shapes, it makes them pop out a lot more.
Well, and it sets the tone. He does a great job of coloring where the feel of the tone in between the pages. So very good stuff.
Really great stuff.
Yeah.
I love it. This is one of those things where I may end up buying the hardcover of this series when it comes out, and just to sit there and drool over the artwork for a while. Aquaman, the Throne of Atlantis storyline.
Yeah.
This is the big twist issue.
I've only read 15. I haven't read that one yet.
Well,
spoil away.
Okay. Well, basically, you find out that it's not Aquaman's brother who has set off this whole chain of events.
The king.
It's the guy who was in exile, the bald guy with the the beard and the goatee.
Oh, okay.
He's the one who was shunned from Atlantis. He's the one who actually
He's pretending to be his brother.
Who figured out how to send the missiles to attack Atlantis, so Atlantis would attack the surface dwellers. He's the one who actually has the trident of power, and so this also continues with Justice League calling up all the reserves. So all the other characters, like Green Arrow, Firestorm, all of those guys who you know are going to be in the new Green Lantern or Justice League of America series. This continues with some of them coming out. Batman and Dark Knight 16.
I haven't been reading.
I usually don't read Batman the Dark Knight. The only reason why I picked this up is because Ethan Van Sciver is doing the artwork, and I love Ethan's artwork. Also, he's my Facebook buddy, so I just decided to pick that one up because he's doing the artwork, and I really love the story. It was one of those things where it just kind of came out of nowhere. The villain is the Mad Hatter, and the Mad Hatter in the new DC 52 is kind of what the Joker was at the end of the old DC universe. You know, Joker in the new 52 has his own storyline. He's a lot more sadistic and whatever. Mad Hatter is kind of taking the other place.
Yeah.
But the other thing is just the Van Sciver's artwork is just incredible. He just does an incredible job with characters and layouts. And there's this whole conversation between Bruce and his girlfriend, and she's a concert pianist, and there's this piano, so he drew piano keys, and the characters kind of interacting through there, and it's just breaking up the panels in a non-traditional way that just really kind of takes your breath away. It's just really incredible how well it's done. Let's see. Over to Marvel for a little bit. Daredevil.
DD. Yeah, I stopped reading Daredevil.
I stopped reading Daredevil after the first couple issues. Mark Waid's run was okay, but it wasn't really, like, blowing me away. But this has Superior Spider-Man. And I do love Superior Spider-Man. So I went ahead and bought the issue before. He appears at the end of that one, and then he's the storyline in this one. And basically, Matt Murdock's gone through a bunch of problems. Everybody thinks he's going crazy. They go to the district attorney, and they say, you know, he's got to be stopped. He's going nuts. Everyone knows he's Daredevil, and they think he's unstable. So the district attorney goes to Spider-Man and says, hey, can you check him out, make sure he's okay? Well, it's Dr. Octopus. So Dr. Octopus is, yes, I will destroy Daredevil. And she's like, no, wait, what? That's not what I meant. So Superior Spider-Man tracks down Daredevil, starts attacking him, and right in the middle of the attack, Stiltman walks by. And Stiltman has stolen a bunch of Doc Ock's technology and incorporated it into his outfit. So they were like, oh, it's Stiltman, no big deal. Come on, let's break for 5 minutes, take care of this guy, and then we can get back to our fight. Right. But then as they're fighting, they realize that he's added Dr. Octopus's technology. So now Dr. Octopus in Peter Parker's body is pissed at Stiltman. So now he doesn't care about Daredevil anymore. He just wants to beat up Stiltman. And it's just one of those stories where it's like...
Is Peter Parker's ghost...
No, there's no ghost. There's no ghost in this at all. Because it's from Daredevil's point
You really
of view.
love Superior Spider-Man?
I do. I really do. But we'll talk about that in a minute, because we got the new issue of that to talk about. Homecoming from Aspen. This is the story of a girl who was abducted by aliens. She comes back.
I gotta see this.
She doesn't remember. This is issue 3.
Okay.
In issue 3, she's reunited with her mother. One of the other...
Is that what they call it, Homecoming?
Because the girl has come home. She's been missing for like 16 years.
There's a bunch like Predator-looking dudes.
And those are the aliens coming back to get her. They want, for whatever reason, she's somehow escaped, and she doesn't really remember how or why, but the aliens want her back.
How did you pick this book up?
Actually, Aspen sent me the first issue to review, and I read it, and I was really kind of blown away by how well done it was. Not that that's a knock against Aspen or anything, but a lot of times when you get something from a third-party publisher, it's not a Marvel or a DC, it's from someone else, you really kind of question, like, how much am I really going to like this? And I read the first issue, and I really liked it. The characters, it's a bunch of high school kids. But you know how whenever anyone does high school kids, it always sounds like a 40-year-old person writing high school kids?
Right.
Where it's like, hey, man, turn up that rock and roll music. Let's go smoke some weed and cut class.
Kind of like reading Morning Glories.
Right, yeah, a lot of times. But the way that they did the characters felt very real to me, and I was kind of impressed by how well written it was, and then the artwork is just beautiful. Really gorgeous book. So I just started reading. I just said, this is what I'm going to get. So I just started buying the issues. Even though they've sent me issue 2 and issue 3 digitally in advance, but I always still buy the paper copy because I like the story that much. I want to support it.
There you go.
But anyway, lots of fun. Big twist in this one. Turns out the mom's in on it.
She's an alien.
She's somehow connected. You don't know how, but she somehow is connected. And then the final book here we're going to talk about, Crosstar. I've mentioned this one before to you. This is the final issue, wrapping up the 7-issue miniseries. And it's one of those things where, like, the book feels like the book ends, but there's still half the book to go.
Mm-hmm.
So then, like, something happens over the next 3 pages, and then that feels like the end, but then you still have, like, 5 more pages to go. And then something happens on the next 2 pages, and you feel like, well, that's the end. And then something else happens. Like, it keeps, like, it throws a twist, and then it throws a curve, and then it throws a twist, and then it throws a curve. And it just keeps kind of playing with the whole ending over and over again until by the time it's over, you're basically begging for more storyline, and that's the end of the miniseries. So they did a really good job of playing out the storyline and then setting it up for whatever they do in the future to really get you kind of interested in the stuff. And also, one of the things is that this character, he pulls off some pretty miraculous stuff through the series, and it's kind of one of those things where you're like, okay, somehow he's a superhero. Like everyone else in the universe is normal people. Somehow he's a superhero. And the writer he gives a little epilogue at the end, and one of the things he says is everything that he pulled off that seems impossible, there's actually a rational explanation for, and he figured it all out. And it's one of those things where if he does come back for another series, he may like give away some of those secrets, but it's kind of like a magician. Like, he didn't want the guy to be super powered, so he figured out, how could you survive this? How could you pull this off? How could you, set up for an impossible situation and get yourself out of it?
Medieval MacGyver.
Well, but he's not medieval. Like, this is set in modern times.
Oh, it's modern. Okay.
Yeah, he just has this costume that looks. He's got a giant sword.
Like
he throws these
Skeletor.
stars.
He looks like Skeletor.
Kind of. But again, Crosstar, it's from Crusadel Comics.
Oh, okay.
Which it's like, what have you read from Crusadel Comics?
Nothing.
Exactly.
So I'm glad to hear other.
But yeah,
again,
these guys, I hope that they're at Wizard World St. Louis or C2E2 in Chicago. I'd like to run into these guys. I'd like to ask them some questions.
We sit on a lot of panels that talk about the behind the scenes for these small publishers and how much work goes into just getting a book out.
Well, actually,
and
he says that this actually started as an idea for an ongoing series in 2002 that he wanted to do.
Yeah, some of this stuff can sit for forever.
And he had no idea.
Shelf life.
Yeah, he had no idea how difficult it would be, and so he actually took this story. Is actually the backstory to an incident that happens in the ongoing series he wanted to do, but he never thought about explaining it. It was just supposed to be something that happened in the background where somebody meets the character for the first time. And so then he decided to make a mini-series out of this in the hopes of getting enough interest that he can do some kind of ongoing series. So I'm hoping that people pay attention and look for that book. So, anyway,
there were a couple of books, I did read, like Wonder Woman, Superman, a few other digital comics.
I have not read any of the Hell on Earth stuff yet.
Well,
the Superman, Superboy, Supergirl, all that.
It's okay. It's kind of cool because it, basically, it's supposedly this guy that was trained by Kal-El's dad, and basically was a test subject or a
and
test
Supergirl
pilot.
falls in love with him.
Yes. And somehow he thinks that he can, change time and make it so Krypton doesn't explode. And in fact, though, the only way that he can do it is basically suck all the power from Earth to make it happen.
So he can kill everybody on Earth, but then he can save Krypton.
Right.
Well, it's one of those things that it's like after a couple issues of it had come out, I was starting to catch up to where it was in Superman and Supergirl. But by that point, I wasn't sure like what the reading order was. So I just kind of decided to wait until it was done, and I would just take all the issues and put them in order and just kind of read it as one big story. So
I kind of feel that way about a lot of the Star Trek offshoots and stuff too. You know, like I picked up a couple issues, and I don't know. I just feel like in order to tie into everything else that's going on, because they almost kind of overlap. You know,
you mean Star
Trek? Did I say Star? I said
You mean Star
Trek.
Wars?
No, Star Trek.
What's Star Trek?
Like all the Nero stuff.
Well, that's all from the first movie.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, so you're talking back then?
Yes.
Oh, I thought you meant now.
No, no.
I'm like, what are you waiting for now?
No,
It's
no.
like you kind of missed your window.
No.
Okay.
But anyways, I don't know.
All right. Fair enough. All right. We are going to take a quick break. I'm going to guzzle down probably another pint of margarita. And then we come back, we've got some advanced reviews. Yeah. Comics not out yet. Some coming out this week.
And it's a mix. It's a mixed lot. So.
It's Marvel and Image.
Yeah.
Basically, handful of Marvel, a couple books from Image, stuff that they were nice enough to share in advance. And we're hoping that you guys kind of like getting some of these advanced reviews. And if you do, then we'll do more of them in the future. But you got to give us feedback. So make sure if you like having advanced reviews, stop by jointheforums.com, part of the Pop Culture Network.
Which I'm always on. You'll always see Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah, always. Always meaning maybe Easter
3
and
times
Christmas.
a year.
You're CEO, Christmas and Easter only. So anyway, guys, take a quick break and we'll be right back. Ow. All right, guys. It has been like an hour and a half. We cooked a pizza and ate it.
Are we recording now?
Drank. Oh, yeah, it's recording now.
Oh, it's recording now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
watched a lot of bad commercials.
This thing is like half gone. We watched a lot of infomercials on YouTube for no reason whatsoever, including Jones' big-ass truck rental and storage facility, which is my favorite infomercial of all time. Even though it's not legit, I still like it.
I want to store something in his
You
facility.
want barbecue and foot massage.
That's right, barbecue and foot massage. Okay, so we got a lot to cover.
I've already forgotten what we're doing.
Well, we review comic books.
Oh, do we?
And we're going to review some advanced stuff.
Really?
Some stuff that's not out on the shelves yet.
Advanced stuff. So that means stuff that's like harder to read than your regular comics?
No.
No.
Advanced copies. Stuff that our listeners, viewers, don't have.
They could be listeners.
Yeah.
They can listen in to video. They don't have to have eyesight to.
Do you remember the day when it was just audio for us?
We used to do just a straight up podcast.
Huh.
Yeah, that was actually so much better in many ways.
Less work for you.
It was a lot easier. All right. Well, do you want to do this alphabetically and just go down the list?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just gonna shooting off from the hip. Go for it. I'll feed off you.
Let's start with alpha number 1.
Oh, the best one. You're gonna talk about the best one first.
It seems to me as if you say that
in a sarcastic tone
with some sort of facetiousness.
Okay, all right. Well, let's back up just a little bit here.
Okay.
This came to be during Spider-Man's Big Time series. Alpha was spawned. Basically, in Horizon Labs, there's like this school tour going through Horizon Labs. Kind of sounds familiar, doesn't it? And Peter Parker tries to do this demonstration. He screws up. infects this kid with these superpowers, basically, where he has unlimited potential, but he can only use one superpower at a time. And then it's basically Spider-Man's job to make sure this kid doesn't fly off the handle and destroy the world.
All right, so basically, if you've read Amazing Spider-Man, you know who this is.
Right.
They touted him as being Spider-Man's new sidekick. He was there for a couple issues, and then he just kind of disappeared. And you wondered what the heck was going to happen to him. Well,
No, I wasn't. I was grateful he was gone.
Well, now he's back with a new series. And here's the thing. I have to... It's... Okay, let me just start with this. There are two things that make a comic book. There's the writing and the art.
Mm-hmm.
The writing of this book is decent. It's actually Fakalov. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Jonathan Hale Filikov.
Filikov, yeah. Sure.
He's done a bunch of stuff for Image, and now he's doing stuff for Marvel. He's a good writer, and he's written a good first issue of this comic. It's good. It's not great, but it's good. The problem is there's also the artwork that goes with it, and to me, this artwork just kind of killed all enthusiasm I had for the book.
It falls apart.
It's
you kind of hope it gets better as it goes along, and it doesn't.
I don't know who the artist is.
Okay, well, let's talk specifics here. What about the art turned you off the most?
The artwork is this kind of simplistic indie comic. Relies
huge eyebrows, small chins.
It's
kind of hard to It's kind of hard to distinguish facial expressions. It doesn't unless they're smiling or frowning. You don't get a lot of emotion from the face.
There's not a lot of like texture. There's not a lot of weight and depth. Everything basically has the same black lines to it.
His face just doesn't stand out very well on the frame.
And the haircut. Look, when they did the artwork and his hair was like kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It just looked like maybe he had some sort of like spiky haircut, or he just didn't comb it or whatever. And in this, it's like the weirdest looking, like Justin Bieber, like bad comb over.
It's almost like a woman's cut.
Yes.
It's not a man's cut. It's it's really, and I don't know if I really care that much for the story either.
I thought the story was okay. I mean, like I said, it wasn't great, but it was good. It was decent. It's basically Superior Spider-Man now, Doc Ock, calls Alpha back, says, I'm going to give you a little bit of your powers,
right.
And we're going to let you just kind of like reacclimate yourself to it, and I'm going to give you a second chance. And then after Alpha leaves, he says some comments, under his breath, like, well, I almost hate using him in this way or whatever. So, Superior Spider-Man, Doc Ock, Peter Parker has some sort of secret plan of what he's going to do. He's trying some sort of experiment on Alpha, and Alpha is just happy to have his powers back, to be
and he's trying to do good, right?
A superhero again. And I will give him credit. The book ends. He's trying to stop an armed robbery, and the guy shoots a bullet.
Yeah, he actually freezes his head.
And he stops the bullet, and then kind of pushes his energy back on him, and like apparently blows off the guy's face. So, I give him credit for the storyline, but the artwork just killed all the momentum for me. Like, the more I went through the book, the more I didn't like the artwork. I don't like the way Alpha is drawn. I don't like the way nothing has, like I said, weight or texture to it. Everything is just that same
Well, we talk
outline.
about there's a direction or a flow with the frames.
Uh-huh.
It's choppy. It doesn't. It's like the frames are more independent.
It doesn't pull your eye from.
Yeah, they don't point to like the next frame and.
Yeah.
So you're getting an advanced review of this. Our advice is don't pick this one up.
I would just say this may lead to something big for Alpha in the future, and if it does, hopefully it'll be like this is just some sort of testing the waters. But as far as this particular book goes, don't let the cover fool you, because the cover looks
Cover
like the
looks good,
artwork
yeah.
from Amazing Spider-Man.
Right.
That's not the artwork on the inside. It's just not. There's nothing about looking at this book that makes you want to read it. And so I would just say overall it's a pass. I can't get excited for it, and I just can't endorse it. You just got to let that one go.
How about Nova #1?
You want to skip down to Nova?
Yeah.
All right. Let's skip to Nova.
Jeff Loeb and Ed McGuinness.
I enjoyed this.
I did too.
I thought this.
I did too.
I'm usually not a big fan of Jeff Loeb.
Help me out here. So the storyline of Nova here versus the Nova that we know recently from Marvel Universe.
This is the Nova that appeared in Avengers vs. X-Men.
Okay.
This is not the Nova
Right.
from Nova Corps and Nova from like 3 or 4 years ago, which we both enjoyed that series a lot. Yeah, this is a different Nova.
We all know it basically the powers all come from the helmet.
Yeah, well, okay. So basically, this version of Nova, it's a little bit of Last Starfighter, and a little bit of, gosh, I don't know. Basically, his dad is the old Nova, or an old Nova, I guess I should say. He was part of an elite group within the Nova Corps. The normal Novas have a yellow star, and he's got a red star. He's part of like the secret ops group within the Nova Corps.
And there's a couple of teammates that have the red star too. There's like
right. There's like 5 or 6 of these guys that have the red, and they're kind of like the I don't know, SWAT team or the CIA Black Ops group of the Nova Corps.
Right.
The dad has an opportunity to come back to Earth. He's the only one within the team that's married, has children. And so the rest of the team says, this is your one opportunity. We're kind of close to Earth. Go back to Earth and we'll come, we'll give you a couple of years off, whatever. We'll come back, get you when we need you. And the dad's just been waiting for the call. He's waiting and waiting and waiting, and the call never comes.
Meanwhile, he's a janitor at the local high school that the kid goes to.
Becomes an alcoholic.
The kid ends up picking up the slack for him because he just can't cut it.
Yeah, so the kid basically becomes the adult, and the adult is becoming the kid. And in the midst of all this, of course, the son doesn't believe his dad. Basically thinks his dad's just a liar, kind of like Independence Day.
Right.
You got the dad who was flying the crop duster, fighting the aliens, whatever.
Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie, from Vacation. And so basically, this Nova, he doesn't believe his dad. He thinks his dad's a big liar or whatever. And his dad keeps telling stories of stuff that happens. And a lot of this book is flashbacks to these stories of what happened in space. His dad telling the stories, telling his little sister.
To his little sister, yeah.
And of course, the son doesn't believe him. And the son ends up getting injured, goes to the hospital. And when he wakes up, there's Rocket Raccoon and, what's her name, Gamora, in his hotel room, in his hospital room, saying, we got to talk. And that's the end of the first issue. And so basically the story is setting up that idea where he is going to be called, something's going on, they can't use the dad maybe because he's too old or he's drunk or whatever.
The new Nova.
So the son's going to step up and take his dad's place. Oh, I think his dad disappears. Isn't that what happens?
Right.
He goes to check on his dad. His dad's disappeared.
Like his shop's all messed up. And his helmet's gone.
Right, and the helmet's gone. So they're coming looking for him. So he's got to save his dad, and he's going to become the new Nova. And then whatever happens is eventually going to tie into, I think, AVX in that scene where he crashes on Earth, and then it'll continue the story after that point. And I'm looking forward to this. I like the story. I like the artwork. The artwork is very crisp and clean. Ed McGuinness does a really good job. I've always liked the Nova. To me, Nova is like the Green Lantern of the Marvel Universe. He just doesn't have the big, he doesn't make race cars out of green energy, but the outer space, the global, the team, the
protector of,
all of that kind of works together. So he's going to be the new one. And I have to say let me take a quick look here. I think of all these Marvel books, of all the Marvel Now stuff that's come out, like this one is really, I think, the one. I'm probably going to read this book every month. Like some of the other Marvel books, I may not kind of stick with, but this one, like, I really enjoyed this book.
I agree.
Which means it'll probably be canceled in a year because I enjoy it. But
yeah, we're just gonna make it a mini series.
Oh, you like that book? Oh, well, that book's done. Which is usually what happens. But yeah, so I'm gonna say Nova. I'm gonna give a thumbs up to. You guys got to check it out when it comes out. It's a fun read. Artwork is beautiful. The colors are crisp. Everything in that book works out really well. So
I think if you're a fan of Nova, it's interesting. You know?
If you've read any of the other Nova stuff, it ties in a different way. So you're seeing a new aspect of that part of the Marvel universe. Because usually you see the gold helmet guys. Now you're seeing the red helmet guys. You were like, I never knew there was a difference. And so now you get to see some of that. So yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot. What did you think of it?
No, it was great. I like the fact that they're adding a new background, a new twist to Nova and kind of the Nova core and all that. So, and I don't know a lot about these other characters, so to me it's kind of interesting to kind of...
That is one thing that's nice about it, is that it seems like if you don't know anything about Nova...
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, the dad's telling you stories, so that kind of sets up a little bit of your expectation, and then the kid doesn't know any of the characters, so they're going to have to introduce themselves to the kid, which in effect introduces them to you as the reader, so it's a good way to bring you into the universe.
Yeah, definitely. So, how about we talk about Morbius next?
Let's talk about Morbius. This is Morbius the Living Vampire #2.
Okay.
Did you read one?
Yes.
I would assume you read one if you're going to read.
Yep, I read one.
One of my...
I was wondering what your reservations were going to be.
One of my key problems with Morbius is that, okay, like I'm a fan of iVampire in DC. And in iVampire, the vampires did have a run-in with superheroes, and they had kind of this thing back and forth where it's like the supernatural characters are basically superheroes that came at it a different way. You know, like they kind of understand each other. The thing that bothers me about Morbius is that he's laying on the ground, he's pasty white, he's got red eyes, he's been shot in the chest with a shotgun. He wakes up and they're like, people are going, oh my gosh, how are you getting up off the ground? As if people in New York City have never seen a Skrull, have never seen the Fantastic Four, have never seen Spider-Man, have never seen Daredevil, have never seen any other superhero. You know, he comes walking out of the lake in the first issue, and the guy's like, hey, where the heck did you come from? As if people don't drop out of the sky every day in the Marvel universe.
Beef, though?
But it's just that attitude ran throughout the book. Like, that type of thing happened again and again and again and again, where someone would be like, what's your deal, Mr. Red Eyes? Well, like, maybe he's an alien from another world. You've seen those before.
Right.
You know?
And also the thing is, he's not your traditional vampire. He's a genetic experiment gone bad.
Right.
With vampire bats, which...
He's not a real vampire. He's actually alive. He just feeds on blood.
So this is post-Horizon Labs that went awry, where he found a cure for himself. Spider-Man had to use it to subdue Lizard. And then Morbius runs away because
he gets captured, gets thrown into jail.
Being hunted, yeah.
He escapes from the raft.
So he decides to go to this town, or what's it called?
It's like Brownville or something. Whoa. It's a little something different there.
No, I did not mean it that way. One thing that did annoy me about this book, especially the first issue, is where he'd be like, meanwhile, and then it'd be like 3 days later, and then it'd be like 6 months ago. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, it was almost like they kind of...
It's like you're not making the story interesting by jumping around like that.
You're just making it confusing. And there really wasn't any need for it to jump around so much, too.
And the other thing is...
And then they'd be like 26 minutes earlier. It's like...
Oh, right, because 25 minutes ago, I know exactly what happened. And then there's like the villain...
Yeah.
Of course,
yes.
Is this guy with a mohawk, and he's got like metal studs
all up down his back,
off his head,
and he's like super. He looks like a pro wrestler.
And like Morbius like punches the guy in the face, and then the guy's like, "Huh, that's a good one. I'll give you credit for that." But then like a couple minutes later, he's mad at him and tries to blow him away with a shotgun. And it's like
Right.
who the hell is this guy? He's just gonna let him walk 1 minute and get pissed off.
Well, and he supposedly like controls the town.
Oh, yeah, you're so enthusiastic about the book.
Sorry, it's been a long week. Yeah, he controls the town. You know, it's like he's like the mob boss, so to speak.
And again,
so that's your best villain.
And again, the villain
that is
the villain. This guy with the mohawk. He's got the studs. He's got like a Mike Tyson face tattoo.
No, it's like a reverse bad version of that tattoo.
And nobody thinks he looks weird. And then there's Morbius with the pasty face and the red eyes.
What about this other thing? Wasn't Morbius supposed to be a scientist, right?
Yes,
Morbius?
Dr. Morbius.
They portray him in this as like a teenage kid.
Yes.
Like the dialogue is just like, it's really kind of weak.
And he...
I'm waiting for it to be like, yeah, totally. Like, where's
he's
like...
living homeless on the streets, and he's eating hamburgers thrown into the trash,
yeah, I know.
as if he's not intelligent enough that he can figure out a way to get money or make money, or he'd have some stash somewhere, or he'd have a contact, somebody he could call. Instead, he's just living with these homeless people. And then, of course, like there's like this chick. One moment, she's like, "Oh my gosh, you just got shot in the chest. How are you getting up off the ground?
Can we be friends?
Oh, just come over to my house. Why don't you hang out with me? Look at my artwork."
The abandoned warehouse.
I was like abandoned.
She's like a homeless.
Well,
person
yeah, it was like a church or something.
Yeah.
Or it's a theater. That's what it is. It's a theater because she's got to be an art school person.
Right.
You know, and then it's like, well, I paint portraits of people on the streets because no news comes down here and covers everything.
Yeah,
so I've got to track the stories. Like, what are you even? Yeah, this book is just bad. I'm sorry, but
and also, I mean, didn't you find that like the way they portrayed Morbius too does not look anything like Morbius?
Just the way he's drawn. In
general, yeah, he just doesn't look the same. He looks like a Lost Boys version of, you know what I'm saying? Like they took Morbius and they're like, we got to make him look hip.
He's got to look like a reject from. Hey, remember that one Linkin Park episode?
No, let's make him look like Kiefer Sutherland.
That music video. Let's do that.
He's like a cross between like Kiefer Sutherland and Bill from True Blood.
Well, and not only that, but it's like the artist not only draws Morbius looking weird, draws this one dude looking weird, but then like other people just look kind of weird too. Like this little boy who's being led wrong.
With the big cranium.
It's like his hair, like he's 8 years old, but his like hairline is all the way back to here. Like if you remember, well, you didn't watch, but if you watch WWE back in the day when Kane unmasked and they took off the wig and he had that little circle of hair kind of shaved into his head back here, like that's what this kid looks like. For absolutely no reason whatsoever. He's supposed to be normal. But he's got this dumbass look to him. I mean, after reading I, Vampire and how well that structured everything and how well that kind of played off the idea of superheroes and vampires existing in that same world, and then I read this, and this just feels so like Saturday morning. I mean, it's like, oh, there's blood. He bites in the guy's neck, and blood spurts everywhere.
I just wonder who.
But the rest of it is like 12 to 14-year-old.
I was gonna say, who is the audience for this book?
Little like high school kids, like middle school and freshmen in high school.
Okay.
Who go, oh my gosh, blood. That's hardcore. You know, because I mean, it's just
this book will not stand the test of time. I will stand behind those words. I don't unless they do a serious change real quick.
This will not last as long as Dokken.
No,
the Dokken book lasted longer than this.
Yes.
I'll bet.
Dokken. Okay.
All right.
So, that's enough of that.
I feel sorry, like really tearing that apart, but that is not. It's not good. It is not good.
And no, I mean, don't feel sorry. I mean, that's what we do. We're critics.
Well, I know. I'm just saying, like in some, because sometimes you try to look for the positive.
Right.
It's colored well. That's about as far as I can take it.
Okay, so Savage Wolverine #2.
Yeah. Now, did you read Savage 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just asking. You never know. Savage.
Where's the barmaid? Just can you get us a beer?
What barmaid?
We don't have a barmaid?
No, we don't have a barmaid.
All right. Pardon me, folks.
Hey, give me a glass of ice.
See?
Let's see, the ice is upstairs.
All right, well, take it away.
I told you to bring a bucket down. like 2 hours ago.
Take it away.
Mm-hmm. Savage Wolverine. Well, do you have anything specific you want to say about Savage Wolverine? Should I draw it out until you get back?
What's the savage chick's name?
Shauna? Shauna?
She's hot.
She is hot.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So it's called Savage Wolverine because Wolverine gets pulled to the Savage Land. Shanna the She-Devil, who is their like Tarzan chick, hot chick. If you ever saw the movie, by the way, they made a movie of this like the early 80s, had full frontal nudity, and it was like rated PG or something. Like it was, check it out, it's worth it. The mom from that 70s show, the neighbor's mom, not the mom. Anyway, regardless, getting lost. There's something going on where people, for whatever mysterious reason, are being transported to the Savage Land. First, Shanna and a group of S.H.I.E.L.D. scientists are going to study some island in the Savage Land that they are supposed to stay away from. All the elders say don't go there, it's cursed, whatever. S.H.I.E.L.D. finds there's some sort of electromagnetic disruption, so they send a crew to check it out. It crashes, and suddenly there's like this burst of light, and Wolverine finds himself stuck there. He helps Shanna fight off some of these guys, and they decide they're going to find some answers. They're going to go to this mountain, whatever. Issue 2, which is what we're going to be taking a look at today, Amadeus Cho actually gets transported there mysteriously. He doesn't know how. He doesn't understand what happened. He is most, I think, famously known from being in The Incredible Hercules after Hulk left the Incredible Hulk book and was in his Hulk book. That book became Incredible Hercules, and Amadeus Cho was there with Hercules. He's super intelligent. He's so intelligent that he can see quantum mechanics happening in the world around him.
That he's talking to the whole time?
He has built a super intelligent computer, which he calls Calvin. And the super intelligent computer, he built the artificial intelligence, so it's more intelligent than humans. And it runs, he's got some sort of like force field, he's got the ability to fly through some anti-gravity boots or whatever, and he uses the supercomputer to kind of regulate that and keep everything running so he doesn't have to worry about it. And so he finds himself suddenly in the Savage Land too. Right. He doesn't know why he's there, he doesn't really understand what's going on. So he's just kind of thrown into the middle of the mix, and he's separated from Wolverine and Shauna. They haven't met up or anything like that. So you've got a couple different things going on at the same time.
And Shayna automatically starts hitting on Wolverine too.
Well, they know each other. I mean, they've run into each other before. This is drawn by Frank Cho, who is known for drawing his beautiful women. That's kind of like his forte.
She's beautiful.
And he does a good job. He does a lot of, she falls down with her legs in the air and her crotch conveniently exposed, or breasts hanging in the middle of the scene, or...
I think there's one spot where she falls and it's all, there. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, show it to the camera. Ooh, hold it up, lift it up. There you go.
That's a pretty good shot.
So the book is full of artwork like that, which
I could do without the relationship that Wolverine has with her too. Like they're trying to build some sort of.
Well, she's also kind of toying with him. Yeah. Like she kind of hits on him, and he's not really going for it. So she hits on him more.
Well, and
just because it kind of annoys him.
She saves his ass a couple times too. So.
And like one time, she's sitting there going, you're a lot shorter than I imagined. I always figured you to be a tall guy, like that actor, Hugh Jackman.
Right, yeah, that was pretty good.
So, and he gets kind of mad at her because she keeps picking on him. So there's, a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the dialogue. I enjoyed the character interactions. The story is simple enough that you're not getting lost. You're not getting confused. Everything flows from page to page where it makes sense. Even though you've got different threads of things going on, you got Amadeus Cho doing his thing, you've got the flashbacks of what was going on with the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, you've got the stuff with Shanna and Wolverine, like everything just, plays out
I am
perfectly.
interested to see what this is going to build up to. Because you still don't know really,
Yeah,
other than the fact that Wolverine is in Savage Land, which makes sense that they call it Savage Wolverine.
yeah, but how long can they continue for?
Well, I don't think this is an ongoing necessarily.
I think it is.
Huh. Interesting. So I mean, we've built the Marvel has built another Wolverine title.
Well, yeah, but they canceled the other ones, so
Yeah. So I'm kind of interested because I mean I'm kind of intrigued. What's this all about? And you notice how the that big mountain is shaped like
Man Thing.
Man Thing.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for something to happen with that. So is this like Man Thing land?
I almost wonder if it's going to turn into like a Swamp Thing, where it's like the council of trees inside the mountain. They're causing whatever.
The energy source, because that's just
Yeah.
what they're heading towards. Is some
They're
sort
trying
of,
to figure out that energy source that brought down the Shield ship in the first place.
right.
So the artwork's beautiful. The story flows well.
Yeah, I'll continue to read it. I mean, I'm intrigued.
Like again, I like the character. I like the way Wolverine is done in this book. He is brutal.
Right.
He does chop off people's
Yeah,
heads.
no, there's definitely there's a graphic touch to it. So I mean, if you like that graphic, gritty Wolverine book, with what seems like a pretty decent backstory, then I think you'd like this book. So
yeah, so Savage Wolverine I like.
pick it up.
And
Yeah,
issue
pick it
two, issue two just adds on the fun and it builds and it's a good deal.
And I'm sure this isn't one of those books that just flew off the shelf either. So issue 1 probably won't be too hard to pick up.
Yeah, you can probably still go out and find a copy.
Yeah.
So worth checking out.
All right.
All right.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Our final Marvel book here in advance is Superior Spider-Man number 4. They are putting this book out at a quick pace, like they were doing with Amazing Spider-Man. So it's only been,
Are they doing it
6
the
weeks.
same where they're taking a week off? A month?
Well, it's been 6 weeks and there's 4 issues out already.
Okay.
So
basically.
they are doing it pretty quick. I like Superior Spider-Man. Like, I like the idea of the story. I like Doc Ock as Peter Parker taking over his life. He does do things differently, and he does treat people differently. And I think that is a fun twist with the stuff going on.
There's some interesting additives to the uniform that kind of make you think of Doc Ock. The bug eyes kind of remind you of the goggles. When Peter Parker's working in the lab in Horizon, he's kind of wearing that Doc Ock.
He's wearing those round kind of
white lab coat with the button over and the black gloves.
And he's always like, whenever like Mary Jane or somebody calls, he's always like, "What is it, woman?"
Right? Yeah.
Like, what is it? Why are you bothering me, woman?
4 kind of, you know what? I wasn't too interested. I'll be honest. I wasn't quite taken by this until issue 4.
3 was the story of the Vulture, and Spider-Man now realizes that Peter Parker always let the Vulture go, felt bad for him because he was old. And what happened in 3 is that Vulture was using little kids to be his henchmen and giving them the ability to fly,
Right.
so they could go out and steal stuff and bring it back. And Octavius, as a boy, was beaten by his father, abused. And so when he sees how Vulture is using these little kids, he kind of freaks out on Vulture. And he goes, I can't let the same mistakes that Peter made continue. He's like, I can't allow him to use little kids. And so he basically, takes out Vulture, smashes him, sends him to the hospital. He's going to be laid up for a long time, trying to, teach him a message on how he's supposed to act. So in 4, he's picking up some of the loose ends of those kids, and he's also trying to figure out, going forward, how am I supposed to be a better superhero? How am I supposed to?
Yeah, because he has no intention of being Peter Parker.
He wants to be better than Parker.
Right.
And one of the things he realizes is Parker never finished
Plans ahead.
He never finished his education.
Right.
He never got his degree. And so Octavius decides he's going to re-enroll Parker in college and get his doctorate. And for him, that's important. And it's going to build, something in Peter's life. At the same time, you've got this villain, Arsenal. Is that his name, Arsenal? Who escapes from the maximum security prison, and he's a stone cold killer. He will just literally walk into a place full of innocent people and just blow them away to make a point.
Right.
And so Octavius, being a former villain trying to, reclaim his humanity, trying to live up to the responsibility and the power that he's been given, sees this guy as like the polar opposite of himself. And he's starting to see, as someone who easily takes life, Octavius is now trying to find a way to save lives, save innocent people. And for the first time in this issue, he actually reaches out to another scientist in Horizon Labs. He reaches out to Uatu, the little kid, named after the Watcher, who works in the building, and basically wants to work with him. Says, for the first time, he's actually reaching out to another scientist and saying, "I need your help with something." Which for Dr. Octopus, that is a big step for the character. Yeah. So you are seeing character.
Yeah, you are seeing Doc Ock is evolving into a different person as a result of this, because whether he likes it or not, the memories of Peter Parker are still in his mind, and he can't fight those.
And then, of course, do we want to spoil who shows up in the last page?
Go ahead.
Are you sure you want to?
Yeah.
Okay. And Green Goblin is back.
Yep.
He appears at the end, and he wants to take out Spider-Man, of course.
Right.
But, of course, he doesn't know that it's a different Peter Parker. So, so you're getting...
Nobody does. I don't think there's any inkling. Well, Mary Jane...
actually, it's not Mary Jane. It's Cassie or Carly. Carly's the one who's...
But even Mary Jane knows something's not quite right.
Yeah. But, so you're going to get the new Spider-Man and then the old classic villain. So you're getting another... And just like with the Vulture, you're getting something new here with Green Goblin. But again, the killer... I think his name is Arsenal. I want to call him Arsenal.
Do you think it's going to be a Hobgoblin as Green Goblin, basically?
No. That's
it's not Norman Osborn.
No, it's well, no, it's not Harry either, is it?
No,
because Harry is
yeah.
So who is that? I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that, but yeah, that is.
I didn't know maybe like Hobgoblin was gonna.
No, it's not gonna because they did Hobgoblin. They did that whole storyline with the two Hobgoblins. Unless one of the Hobgoblins becomes a Green Goblin, but usually you don't step down.
That's a lot of goblin going on all at once.
So maybe there's a magical troll.
I do like that. There's a new twist with Doc Ock's approach of being more prepared and using his time management skills.
And he's got his little spider bots.
Yeah. That's kind of neat. So, I mean, he's using Horizon Labs to his advantage as well. Taking full use of the facilities. But 4 was a twist. I think previously we talked about this book, and I wasn't too thrilled about it quite yet.
I also think one of the things I liked about this is that the Peter ghost didn't play as big a part.
Okay. That's what I was going to say. That was a part that really bugged me still, was the whole Peter Parker ghost thing.
Because there is a part in the book where Peter gets... someone dies, and Peter sees it, and it's someone who is not a big character, but someone you had seen in the background of the book before. Mm-hmm. And Peter gets mad and is like, I won't stand for this. But Otto basically says, no, I'm not going to let innocent people die. Not on my watch. And he basically walks him. He walks through the ghost of him, though, and the ghost of Peter kind of dissipates. So before, when Otto was kind of losing himself to the dark side, so to speak, the ghost of Peter was kind of stopping him and pulling him back. Now that Otto is kind of stepping up, it's like the ghost of Peter is losing that ability to control him. And they said that something's going to happen in a future issue that's going to piss people off, kind of the same way Amazing 700 did. So I almost wonder if the ghost of Peter is finally, like, Otto is going to step up to the point where the ghost of Peter is going to say, now it's time for me to move on, and is going to disappear and go away. And so I almost wonder if that's going to happen.
Right.
Because that's almost what this seems to foreshadow.
Let's talk in finalities here. Are you comfortable with this being the new reality of Spider-Man?
Yep.
So you're fine with Peter Parker being gone forever and going to superhero heaven?
Yep.
Okay.
Because really,
it is a neat twist when you think of
but
all
here's
the
thing.
times they've, you know,
But
they've jacked up his life and gone
it's
back and
not-
forth on it.
But it's
and
not that Peter Parker is gone.
brand new day. And
But it's not that Peter Parker is gone. It's a new Peter Parker. Like, one of the arguments that popped up on Twitter is when Octavius goes to Mary Jane and grabs her and like plants a kiss on her. People were like, "Oh, he's getting ready to rape her." If something happens, that's rape because she thinks it's Peter and it's really Otto. And it's like, no, that's not Otto. That's the new Peter. Like, the old Peter is gone. She doesn't know that this guy has a different history mixed in with Peter's history. It's still Peter's memories, Peter's feelings. Everything from Peter is there. It's just got that Otto layer on top of it. But that's the new Peter. The new Peter is the mix of those personalities coming together. So it's not as if Peter Parker is gone. It's you have a new Peter Parker. And that's the way I look at it. And that's the way this storyline works for me. So the idea of...
So we've actually lost Doc Ock as a supervillain.
Yeah.
And we've lost what we knew
The original Peter Parker. And you've got a new Peter Parker in his place, and there's no more Dr. Octopus.
I think they should turn Peter Parker into a dead man. Marvel's version of Dead Man.
Pass.
Okay, so you like the book so far. You like issue 4 flowing well for you.
I enjoyed it a bit.
It's going to be tough, though, to swallow not seeing the Amazing Spider-Man, though. ASM, you know?
I don't know.
ASM will be back.
See,
Mark my words.
I grew up,
ASM
though,
will be back.
But see, I grew up with Amazing Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man, and I always preferred Web. That was my favorite of the books, and it had a darker tone to it than the other books, so I always kind of preferred that one. It always had characters like Tombstone and the Jackal and all that, stuff into it, and
More sinister feel.
And for me, growing up, the time period I was getting into Spider-Man, it was like all of those, it's like Amazing was not the book. Like Spectacular was just as easily as important a book as Amazing. Okay. Web of Spider-Man was as easily as important a book as, it's like Batman, Detective, whatever. So when all those books disappeared and it all became Amazing, it was like, okay, well, they're just, for me, that was just like, okay, they're just trying to inflate their numbers. They're just trying to get the number of Amazing up so they can hit that 700. Sure. And that's all I saw it for. So the idea of Amazing going away to bring in a different book, it's still Spider-Man. I'm used to there being different titles. It's not about Amazing. It's about, the character. So on you.
Just a question.
Yeah. Your mom's a question. Mm-hmm. All right.
She's the Riddler?
No, the question from DC Comics.
Oh,
the guy with no face?
Yeah.
All right. You ready to move on to Image?
Okay. Yeah.
We got 3 books from Image to talk about here.
You're going to jump right into it, aren't you?
First up is Walking Dead 107.
That's right, folks. We know what happened, and you don't know, and we're going to tell you.
Of course, you're going to find out in like 3 days, but whatever. So Walking Dead 107. I don't want to spoil what happened with Carl. What happens with Carl, all I think we should say is that Negan says he wants to show that he can be reasonable despite the fact that Carl killed several of his men and basically threw his camp into disarray. And that's what he says he wants to do, and I think he lived up to that.
He basically
he's reasonable for the fact that Carl killed,
and that's really about this. What this whole book is about is that standoff between Rick and Negan about getting his son back.
Well, and here's the other thing though, is that this issue is really about Negan, and even though he leaves about a third of the way through and goes back to his headquarters and leaves, Rick and the rest of the crew to go back to their world, their little, community. This whole book is really, because then from that point on they discuss him and they try to figure out how many guys does he really have, how much ammo does he really have, how many people are at his headquarters. They try to really start to put together this picture of what they know of him, what resources he really has, and if he's taking resources from these other groups, then how bad off are they at the main, headquarters? And so, they're talking to the Jesus guy, and they're saying stuff like, it didn't seem like there were a whole bunch of, you said it on that chair. It didn't seem like there were a whole bunch of men with him. And the Jesus guy goes, well, yeah, he's got these outposts where, the guys have to go out to these outposts to keep an eye on, Negan's kingdom, basically. So they start to put this picture together of, how much firepower does he really have? How many people are really behind him?
Is he just motivating people just because of his sheer will and threatening power, or does he really have something to back it up?
Right, and so they begin to question just how powerful he really is. So now you're starting to see with them is that they're thinking like maybe they could take him on.
Yeah,
and of course Rick is pissed off.
Right.
And so he really is.
Well, and Rick has been wanting to do something this whole time.
Right. And
I think Michonne is really the only one and Andrea are the only ones that really kind of know.
Right.
Or no, actually, does he really told Michonne? I think it's just Andrea. Regardless, there's very few people that know that he's telling the group, let's play along, let's gather the food and the materials that they need so when they come, they don't hurt us. But in reality, I think Rick wants to see Negan go down. And
there are two other story points.
Yeah, there's
the guy who was talking about making their own ammo and trying to find a foundry and whatever. He finds a place.
Yep.
And he looks at it and he says, "This place has everything we need. They have some supplies here that look like it's going to make it a lot easier." And so you're starting to get this picture like suddenly these guys are going to have a whole bunch of ammo. And there's even some comment where the Jesus guy is like, "I'm surprised you guys have this much ammo." And Rick's like, "Well, we've been lucky." So it looks like they're going to have, or Negan's going to stumble on and suddenly he has a whole bunch of ammo. It's like one of those things where it looks like it's going one way, maybe it'll push you the other way. You don't know. The other thing is Michonne starts hitting on Terrence Trent D'Arby here. I forget what the dude's name is. But the dude with the
ponytail dreadlocks. That story could have like omitted those like 2 pages and it wouldn't have really mattered.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's going to lead up to something.
Yeah, because everybody that Michonne has a relationship with dies.
and usually in a terrible way.
Yeah, so...
but I almost wonder if something's going to happen to Michonne's, like, either Terrence Trent D'Arby here or the person that they're in a relationship with is going to find themselves in a bad way, and Michonne is not going to... Michonne's going to let somebody die, just because she's kind of pissed off that she's getting rebuked here. And I wonder if her dark tendencies are going to start taking over. Because we know she's a badass. And for the most part, like, she fell in love... Was she with Tyrese?
Yeah.
Yeah. When they were in the prison, right? And the two of them were a thing for a long time. And that was really the only time that you saw her with a softer side. Otherwise, she's like this hardcore killer.
Which, by the way, there's a Michonne poster right between us, right here.
This one right here.
It says, "People with nothing to hide don't usually feel the need to say so." So just a Christmas gift, I guess. Anyways, yeah.
And I've one thing to say is that the Jesus guy.
Yeah.
He says, maybe it's time to introduce you to Ezekiel.
It's like, what? His name's Jesus. He's going to introduce you to Ezekiel.
But you don't know, is Ezekiel a person? Or is Ezekiel like a rocket ship?
Yeah, I know.
Is Ezekiel like the headquarters of,
Or is it like
NORAD?
is it a tinfoil hat he made up like a year ago? And
Does he have a lightsaber?
yeah.
Is his Schwartz as big as mine and he knows how to use it?
Yeah.
Like, you don't know what he's referencing. So you are seeing threads of this attack on Negan that they're going to plan.
And you know what? I think as a reader, everybody wants to see Negan go down.
Well, of course, he killed Glenn.
Yeah, I mean, oh.
So
In
so
the
it's another a solid, satisfying issue of Walking Dead.
Everybody wants to see that bat go into an orifice of his, and he needs to pay for what he did to Glenn. And it's funny now, like, I watch the show a lot with my wife, and she really likes the show, and she hasn't read the comics, or at least not more than just a few issues, so she doesn't care if I talk about the book because it's not the same as the show.
Right.
And I told her about Glenn dying, and kind of showed her those
His eyeball hanging out and everything.
And I watch the show now, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if Kirkman's gonna do it.
Is he gonna kill Glenn the same way in the show?
I wonder, and like we talked about earlier, the governor is kind of they're kind of mixing him with Negan. Like,
I don't think they.
Like, is there gonna be a Negan, or is this it?
Well, I think there would have to be eventually, but I don't think they could. That actor would have to stick around.
Here's the next
for a
question:
long time.
Do you think the show has the lifespan to last that long?
I think because of the way that they break up the seasons, the show, one season is never
People
on.
are starving for the next one.
It's never on long enough that you get tired of it. You know what I mean? Because even though there are some episodes, like if you were to go back and watch like season 2, there's a lot of stuff where they're like wandering out in the forest.
Looking for Sophie.
Yeah, the whole Sophie thing where you're going to be like, oh man, I forgot. Fast forward. But when it's on.
Right.
When you're experiencing it week to week to week, you don't get that feeling of like, a little bit, maybe with the Sophie storyline. But I mean, really, and it pays off so well at the end, though. The whole Sophie thing pays off so well. I think the comic is doing that same thing, where the comic, it gives you enough every month when it comes out that you're satisfied because something's happening and you're learning something,
right?
And characters are changing, and the status quo is changing.
Yes, but it keeps the relationships dynamic,
right,
and still on edge.
And sometimes you get that issue where a key character dies, and sometimes you just get an issue where it's a lot of people talking. But even when it's a lot of people talking, it's still planting seeds for storyline stuff that is coming.
I think for me the challenge is trying to pick who's going to die next. I mean, that's kind of the fun of, because you can't pick a favorite, and I mean, guess what, folks? I mean,
I think Terrence Trent D'Arby is going to be dead.
Yes, there's going to be some characters that you just absolutely love, and Kirkman's going to just murder them. It's going to happen. It's just his style. And I think that's what keeps people on edge and keeps people motivated.
One other thing about the show is that, have you seen any of the interviews with Maggie?
I think I might have watched one.
She's got like a British accent.
Yeah, she's cute.
Oh, my goodness.
I think, isn't Glenn going to be at C2E2?
Last year,
Steve?
Last year they both were.
Okay.
I don't know if they're both going to be again or not.
Right.
But that's one of those things where it's always, you have to buy a ticket. And as press, we're only allowed in for standing room.
Right.
So if they've completely sold out the tickets, we're not allowed in because they consider that like a fire marshal. If it's only like Val Kilmer had like a 90% sellout, so there was still room, so we could just go in and stand in the back. But with Glenn and Maggie, it was a complete sellout. So press weren't allowed to just come in unless we bought a ticket,
right.
which we didn't do. So. Okay, so the other thing to talk about with Walking Dead is the Governor Special. Now this is actually a reprint. This is part of Walking Dead 27.
I was going to say, didn't this come out about
Well, there's two things. There was a comic book legal defense fund does an annual book with a bunch of short stories from different famous people in the comic industry to help out people who are having legal problems, people who like sell a comic and it's got like Prison Pit. There's some places in like Alabama you sell Prison Pit, you're going to get arrested, which I could kind of see that with Prison Pit, but the legal defense fund would come and go to court for those people for their free speech rights and so whatever. So he did a story in the comic book legal defense fund book about the governor, and basically one of the key things about the governor is the scene where he's looking at the fish tanks and with the heads floating in them, and he did the background of why those are there and how they got there.
Did you think that it was cleverly timed with the show, the re-release of this?
Because right, season 3?
Well, yeah, because currently in the show, ending in season 2 was...
Well, it would have made more sense to have a time with the end of season 2.
But in season 3, well...
Because in season 2 is where you get the reveal of the fish tanks.
Yeah.
Because they actually... have you
But
seen
they don't really tell you why. I mean, he talks to Andrea briefly about it on the TV show, but they don't really go into detail as to, why all the freaking fish tanks and everything.
No.
So I mean,
and here
that's why I thought it was kind of fun.
I mean, they are obviously releasing both these books to play up the fact that season 3 just started. So you're going to get the Governor special because the Governor is in season 3. And you're getting the new issue of Walking Dead, both of them coming out the same week as the TV show premiere. So obviously it makes sense. But yeah, this story really shows, like, you're not supposed to like the governor, obviously, but this puts it on a different sadistic level.
Well, it's you're not even supposed to like him in this either, other than I think that you almost, for whatever insane reason, you start to understand him.
You understand him even though you don't respect him.
Yes.
Right.
Just because you understand something doesn't mean that you agree with it.
It's like, I now know why you do that, and I know how it happened.
And did you think it was
creepy? I don't like you for it.
Did you think it was creepy that you see Lori again?
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
It's like going back in time.
Because I forgot how far back, because it's issue 27 of the comic.
Lori's still pregnant.
Issue 48 was the one where the governor attacks the prison. So you are going back quite a bit. And of course, 107 is the issue we just looked at. So it's like cut in half. Before that, it's basically cut in half again.
Right.
Is how far back the governor special is going back to. So if you know someone who got into the series later, they don't really understand.
This would be a good background.
This is a good book to give you background on the governor to just understand the character.
Well, and then it goes back to Carol talking with.
And I had forgotten about that.
Yeah, and that's the Carol that they use in the TV show, and it's not the same Carol.
It's not the same.
And the Carol in the comic is dead, but I mean, she could still die. I mean, it's still prison setting in the TV show. But Carol dies in the... Carol
in the comic basically suggests that...
Doesn't she kill herself?
Yeah, she does commit suicide. Yeah. But she basically suggests that they do a 3-way relationship with Lori and Rick and her because they all love each other, so why not?
I bet you Carol still could kill herself on the TV show, actually, because they just hit a...
I haven't seen the episode.
It could happen.
I haven't seen the episode. I'm going to watch... When I get home tonight, I'm going to go online and watch it, so... Shut your dirty whore mouth.
Oh. Such language from such a young man.
You're welcome. You deserve no less. So as far as, you've probably, if you've been reading Walking Dead the whole time, you're probably thinking, I don't need to read issue 27 again. Who cares? Whatever. Right. But it's actually a fun read to sit down and go back over that storyline because there's, like we said, there's so much stuff that you forget because it's been so long. It's been, 4 years, whatever, since this came out? 5 years?
They're wearing their riot guard gear and stuff that they found.
Right, and so you're not necessarily going to remember, like, wait, why is all that happening?
Who was the artist in the
It's the same, Charlie Adler. It's the same guy who does the issues, so. I don't know, does this have a date for 27? No, it doesn't say. Didn't say how long ago. But again, this is $2.99. It's $3, the same you're going to pay for any standard comic out there on the shelves. It's a fun trip down memory lane. You get that extra insight into the governor if you didn't read the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund special issue. So altogether, I have to say it's a good issue to add to your collection.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're a collector of Walking Dead, you should have this.
Like, this is a better. Do you remember those Survivor files that they put out?
Yeah, that was a waste of money.
That was a waste.
I have them all. You know what? I'm gonna have to sell it as a package. Somebody's gonna want them.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But the Governor Special is definitely something. Even if you've already got the issue.
And if you've got the direct edition of issue number 1 of The Walking Dead, put it in your safe. Lock it away. Or sell it right now.
Actually, most of those issues, even the ones 20 through 80, are still $50-$60 for most of those.
Ooh, I have quite a few of those.
So, all right. One final book to talk about tonight.
Oh, I was so happy to see that I got a copy of this.
I was happy, but I was kind of sad by this issue at the same time.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of that whole thing.
But okay, well, we'll get to that.
Okay, so anyway, remind everybody what the Skullkickers are.
Well, first of all, just to add to your commentary, it is still called Skullkickers, which implies 2 Skullkickers.
Yeah, the chick.
Oh, you think she's gonna be the new Skullkicker?
Yeah.
Okay. So here we are. At this point, this is an offshoot of the main Skullkickers.
No. Skullkickers is done.
This is
continuing the story here.
It's a continuance. Excuse me. Hold on, I'm trying to pull it up here. There it is. And with that continuance, where our heroes were left off, darn it.
Yeah, see, I'm going all the way back.
I'm going backwards, yeah. PDFs, those darn PDFs.
I hate PDFs.
No, I'm grateful to get PDFs, but
I should have converted them over.
So it's basically called the number 1 first issue again. You've got the storyteller at the beginning, the elf, kind of explaining what has happened here.
So give everybody, if they haven't read Skullkickers, the original series, there was like, what, 17 issues?
Well, you've got 2 heroes. One hero is this kind of oversized, muscle-bound man that is displaced from time. He's basically from the Old West. He made a deal with the devil, and I can't remember the name of the devil. It's like a squid-type, Cthulhu-type creature. Made a deal with the devil, and he basically has this golden gun that has unlimited ammo. He is displaced in time, and he's basically in this sort of like fantasy medieval times. Runs into
it's like the D&D cartoon medieval world where everybody speaks English.
They say the kind of things that you would probably say sitting around a D&D table late at night when it's 2 o'clock in the morning and everybody's delirious on soda pop.
It's not taking soda pop. Wow. It's not taking itself seriously at all.
No.
It's
but
like
it's
the
well
sitcom
done,
version.
It may not take itself seriously, but the art is well done. It's clean. It's crisp.
The art is beautiful in this book. I mean,
it always catches your eye.
It looks like almost like stills of an animated cartoon.
Right.
Like a top-notch Disney animated cartoon.
And we're going to get to it later, but at the end of this book, Jim Zub talks about his how he puts his frames together and kind of portrays the message to the
he
artist.
Gives away some of his scripts,
right?
And some of the
I
comments
like
on his scripts.
I wish people would share that a little bit more sometimes, because it kind of helps you frame yourself when because even though when you read a comic and a lot of everything is there for you, there's not a lot that's left to the imagination. You get to see kind of the detail behind the imagination, what brought it to you. Like he talks about, describing, our hero lying on the beach on his back, halfway in the water with his sun gleaming, or his gun gleaming in the sun, so to speak. But I digress. Anyways, so
So there's a
we're
second character, which was the dwarf in the original series, and they say the dwarf is dead and he's being replaced by this new character, who is this female elf, who was like basically the medieval version of an eco-terrorist. She was like poison ivy in medieval times, where like the fairies and the plants, she was using them to attack the evil barons who were, destroying the whatever. And so she's like the new supposed Skullkicker because the dwarf is dead, they say. And this entire issue, every single page has this box along the bottom where you just see the dwarf laying.
It says right here, hey readers, 2 stories in one. You get to follow along with both the Baldy and the Shorty's adventures at the same time with this clever cutaway. Check at the bottom of each page for this scintillating examples of dwarven daring do. And he's just floating there.
And he's just floating in the water
and
the entire time.
Every page, they devoted space to this.
And there's like an eel comes up and like takes his
big like
wristband
catfish like thing like swims up to him and kind of sniffs him and swims away.
So he appears to be dead.
Yep.
Although it is Skullkickers, he could wake up next issue.
Right. And he's one of those lovable characters. He's the drunken dwarf that is a bottomless pit. Nothing can seem to really kill him, you thought, so.
And there's also this cutaway in the middle of the book where they go to these 2 other characters, which is a big buff dude who looks like the ogre version of the dwarf,
right,
with a big hammer, and then there's some little dude next to him. You don't really get to see who they are,
right,
but they're in the snow, and then suddenly these giant rock giants start climbing up the mountains.
Like, that's who they were trying to go find too. They're like,
the glacier giants.
I told you, yeah.
And then it goes back, and then it goes back to your main story. So that's going to come back at some point, but the way Skullkickers works, it could be like 3 or 4 issues before you even see him again.
And it's like he never forgets too. Zub is very careful about play. He'll play something back. He'll bring something back just when it's dead in your mind.
And like here, the 2 of them.
Yeah, and the main story is basically the elf and
Good Times Jungle Exploration Montage.
And that's the thing. Like there's all these quirky sound effects. Like he's rummaging through a box and it says Survivor Smash rummage, more rummage. It's all very D&D humor-esque. That's, I think, why Dirt and I both kind of are partial to this book.
It doesn't take itself seriously. And if you've ever played D&D, then you get the idea of how things work and what this universe obviously
just to back up just a hair, just so you know why they're stranded on this island. Basically, this like big kraken-like creature,
the kraken,
attacked their boat because this alien squidgily that was on the boat, basically was like calling out to its mother, and this like kraken responded, and took down the ship, and that's why they're stranded on this beach. So they've got very limited resources. They've got like this like cheesy makeup of supplies, which I thought was like funny. That they go through like the materials list here, and it's kind of broken down like D&D, where it's like 2 broken crates, wooden, 1 broken wine barrel, sad, and then of course Baldy's doing nothing to help their cause, while the elf is trying to come up with all these like crafty.
She's trying to figure out how to get food and how to get shelter and whatever, and he's like,
drunk.
well, I'll make shelter, so he just like puts a tarp across 2 trees, makes a lean-to, and he's like, I'm done. I would say that if you have not read the original Skullkickers and you start with this issue, it gives you enough backstory to get you started. And really starting with them washing up on the beach, kind of like you can start from there. Because obviously they're making a break from the story that has come before. And that here, now they wash up on the beach, and then their story moving forward, everything that's happened before, you really don't have to know, and you really don't have to worry about. And then the story moving onward, it is definitely a good place that you can jump on.
Now, those of you those Skullkicker fans out there that have read everything from issue 1, you know that Thule was the name of the
The squid gods, the Cthulhu
squid-
god.
and at the end of this issue, basically, he runs into a totem that he realizes represents Thule. So they're basically on this like cursed island.
Yeah, so
somehow there's some Thule worshipping going on.
So
here.
if you've read the other stuff, then it ties in, and you're going to go, oh, okay, well, now I know. If you've never read it before, you're just going to go, there's something mysterious going on,
of course,
and you're going to move forward.
There's apes with horns at the end of it, so
So yeah, I mean, I love the artwork. I love the colors, even though this camera kind of washes out the colors whenever we hold up the screen, and it's like, oh, look, everything's blue. It really does look nice. The artwork's beautiful. The coloring is beautiful. The story is well done. It's funny. You'll enjoy it. You could even I actually read this twice because I read it once the day I got it, and I read it again this afternoon.
Fun read.
And reading it the second time didn't lose anything. It is still a good read the second time. So this is definitely one of those books that you can read over and over and over again, and you'll still enjoy it every time. And then yes, the thing at the end, he shows off his scripts, and he puts notes on there, gives you a little insight into why he wrote it that way, how he wrote it, what he was thinking at the time. And that really makes it interesting. If you've ever been interested in the idea of how comics are made, then he gives you that little bonus where you can kind of see how the process works. So you can flip back to the actual artwork in the book and then go, oh, okay, well, now I see how writing words turns into the pictures that the artist does.
And I would assume that the next issue is going to revolve around Thule worshipping horned apes.
However that happens to work. So yeah, very happy with seeing Skullkickers return, and it's definitely a good book.
What was the hiatus? Was there a hiatus?
Yeah, it was 5 months, maybe, between the last issue and this one. I mean, it's definitely been a while. But I mean, I hate that they end a series and then restart it with a new #1. But every time they do that, it always sells more copies.
Yeah.
So if they sold, 30,000 copies of Skullkickers, 17 or whatever the last issue was, then they're going to sell, 80, hopefully, of Uncanny Skullkickers 1. Hopefully you guys will check it out because it's definitely...
Do you think it's kind of funny that they chose Uncanny?
Well, of course.
With all the Uncanny stuff
going on right with
now.
all the stuff going on with Marvel.
I just thought it was kind of clever.
Kind of cash in on that.
Yeah. Jumped on the wagon, so to speak.
And again, this is one of the best looking, for it's Image, so it's not a hole in the wall comic
It's a different
company,
style for Image to embrace, really.
But it really is clean and crisp, and I think if you've got someone who doesn't comics, it's all Batman, Superman, whatever, you could show this to them and it's gonna strike them as being something different.
If you love D&D, play D&D, you're going to love it.
Yeah.
If you're just one of those kind of, Lord of the Rings kind of fans, you'll love it, So.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for tonight because it's actually getting late and we need to get
And this was supposed to be a short show.
And this show ended up being an hour and 40 minutes. So.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us once again. We have now reached the cusp of 30 episodes. So.
Wow.
We're adults.
Now it's time to cancel this show, come up with a new show with a new
number one.
Yeah. Uncanny Comiholics. That's what we're going to have to do.
But yeah, so you know how to reach us. We've told you 1,000 times.
Go to jointheforums.com.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way.
I got nothing.
I'm going to go to sleep.
All right.
I'm really
Good night, everybody.
I'm going to drink more margarita and pass out on the floor.
I have the next 2 days off, so this is kind of like my Friday night. So
Thanks for
I'm
watching.
going to go get crazy. He's going to go to bed.
I'm going to eat. There's one slice of pizza left over there.
We're going to fight over a slice of pizza.
So I'm going to punch him in. BAM! My pizza!